All right, so get this. Somebody actually wants us to do a deep dive on this book
Oh, yeah.
called The Algorithmic Tao.
Hmm.
Ancient wisdom meets artificial intelligence, huh? I'm sensing this might be your pick.
Well,
Are you secretly building like a Zen robot overlord in your garage or something? Just kidding, maybe. But seriously, this is pretty intriguing, I gotta say.
yeah, it's a really fascinating premise for sure.
Right. Okay, so this book by Jim Schwoebel dives right into the world of AGI,
Mm-hmm.
artificial general intelligence. And before all the AI experts out there roll their eyes like, oh, come on, not this again.
Right.
We're not just talking about AI that can write a haiku or beat you at chess. We're
Mhm.
talking human level intelligence, like across the board,
Yeah.
learning, adapting, problem solving,
Yep.
maybe even a little spark of creativity. Who knows?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the book kind of jumps right into the deep end with this, exploring what this could mean for,
Oh, yeah.
well, pretty much everything.
No kidding. I mean, we're talking education, healthcare, even like how we govern ourselves.
Yeah.
The book does acknowledge that whole robots are going to take over the world fear,
Right.
but it frames it in a way that's like actually thoughtful.
Yeah.
I'm already hooked.
Good.
But before we get total lost in the hypothetical,
Sure.
you're the one with your finger on the pulse of all this AI research. So how close are we
Right.
to actually achieving this? Like AGI,
Right.
is this still sci-fi or is it like on the horizon?
That is the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer.
Okay.
I mean, we've made some incredible strides
Yeah.
in what we call narrow AI. Like, the self-driving cars, we're seeing more and more of these days.
Yeah, yeah.
But AGI,
Right.
that human-level intelligence, that can do it all.
Yeah.
That's a whole
Different ball game.
different ballgame, yeah.
So we're not quite at Skynet levels just yet.
Not just yet.
That's a relief. But, okay, even if AGI is like decades away,
Mm-hmm.
the philosophical questions this book raises
Oh, yeah.
are kind of mind-blowing.
Absolutely.
If we could create a machine as smart as a human,
Yeah.
what does that even say about intelligence itself?
Right.
Like, is it just about processing power,
Mm-hmm.
or is there something more going on?
Yeah. What do you think?
I don't know. That's what I'm hoping we'll figure out.
Well, it's a question the book grapples with, for sure.
Yeah.
It's complicated, but it seems to suggest that maybe intelligence isn't something that we can just program. Like, it hints at this idea
Yeah.
that true intelligence,
Yeah.
it might actually emerge from the interaction of simpler elements.
Okay.
I mean, like how consciousness
Yeah.
emerges from all those trillions of connections in our brains.
Okay, so we're not talking about literally building a brain in a box.
Not necessarily, no. The book, it draws a lot of inspiration from Taoist philosophy,
Okay.
which is really all about the interconnectedness of everything and the idea that complexity can kind of arise
Yeah.
from these
Yeah.
seemingly simple principles.
Okay. All right. Time for the ancient wisdom portion of our deep dive, I guess.
Okay.
For those of us who haven't cracked open the Tao Te Ching lately,
Uh-huh.
give us like the Taoism 101.
All right. Well, the Tao Te Ching, it's kind of the foundational text in Taoism. And it's not really a rule book
Okay.
so much as a collection of poems and reflections
Yeah.
that offer these insights into, I guess, the nature of reality
Okay.
and how to live in harmony with it.
Right. So it's all about finding that balance, going with the flow,
Yeah,
finding that harmony between seeming opposites.
exactly.
Honestly, it sounds pretty relevant to building complex systems like AGI, don't you think?
Absolutely. And that's really what the book tries to do, is use these Taoist ideas
Yeah.
to tackle some of the biggest challenges we face in AI development.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, like AI ethics.
Okay, yeah.
Like, how do we make sure that AGI is actually beneficial,
Yeah.
not harmful?
Right, and how do we integrate it into human systems without it becoming this
Yeah,
scary, job-stealing humans are obsolete kind of thing?
right.
The book is more about enhancement than replacement, right?
Exactly.
Okay. What else?
There's also the huge one, the paradox of control. If we actually program something to be truly adaptable
Yeah,
and intelligent,
right.
can we really control it?
Oh, good question.
Or do we have to embrace a different approach, maybe one that's more aligned with that Taoist principle of letting go?
Okay, that's where things start to get really interesting. But
Yeah.
I have to admit, all this going with the flow and finding harmony talk, it sounds a little abstract.
Sure.
Are there any real-world examples of how this Taoist thinking has actually, like, solved a problem?
Yeah,
I'm picturing an AI lab with, like, a meditation room and,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Well, there's this fascinating concept in Taoism called Wu Wei.
Okay.
which is often translated as non-action.
Non-action. Okay, so
Now, before you picture a robot just like refusing to do its chores.
because honestly, that's kind of where my mind went.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like a little robot just meditating in the corner.
It's not about being passive. It's more about aligning your actions
Okay.
with the natural flow of things.
Okay.
Like a judoka
Yeah.
using their opponent's force against them.
Oh, I see. I see.
And the book argues that this concept is really key
Okay.
to building truly intelligent AI.
So instead of trying to program AI with all these rigid rules
Yes.
for every possible scenario, we should be building systems that can like adapt and evolve.
Yeah.
Kind of like how we humans learn.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It's about creating systems that are flexible
Yeah.
and responsive
Right.
and able to learn and adjust
Yeah.
based on their environment.
So it's learning as it goes.
Exactly.
Okay. The book gets into the nitty-gritty details.
It does.
Even mentioning something called reinforcement learning.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Back up a sec. Reinforcement learning. For those of us who didn't, major in AI, break that down.
Okay. So in the simplest terms,
Yeah.
reinforcement learning is a type of machine learning where an AI agent
Mm-hmm.
learns by interacting with its environment.
Okay.
So it gets rewards for doing things right
Mm-hmm.
and penalties for doing things wrong.
Okay, so like training a dog with treats and timeouts.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a great analogy. But the book takes it a step further.
Yeah.
It argues that this kind of reward system could actually help AI
Okay.
navigate those really complex situations
Right.
where we just can't possibly program every rule in advance.
I see. I see.
So imagine an AI doctor
Okay.
learning to diagnose new diseases by getting rewarded
Right.
for accurate predictions. That's kind of the power of reinforcement learning.
Okay, that's starting to make sense.
Yeah.
But is this really possible with the tech we have now? Like,
It's a good
if
question.
we're basically talking about building AI that can think for itself, right? Doesn't that bring us back to that whole can machines be conscious question?
Yeah, that's a valid point. And
Yeah.
the book does acknowledge the whole debate around AI consciousness.
Okay.
But it suggests that maybe consciousness is the
Yeah.
wrong word.
Mm.
Like maybe we should say more about emergent behavior.
Okay.
The idea that complex behavior can emerge from these simpler rules and interactions
Yeah.
without actually needing some kind of central conscious controller.
Give me an example, because this is getting a little too
Okay.
abstract for me.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Think about an ant colony.
Okay.
As a
Yeah.
whole, the colony exhibits intelligent behavior,
Mm-hmm.
finding food, building nests, defending against threats.
Right.
But no single ant is sitting there writing code
Yeah.
or coming up with these grand plans.
Right. That's
Okay.
a good point.
Yeah.
It's the collective behavior of all those ants
Yeah.
following these simple rules that creates something
Mm-hmm.
much more complex and intelligent.
Precisely.
Mhm.
And the book argues that we might be able to create AI
Mm-hmm.
that works in a similar way,
Okay.
where intelligent behavior emerges from the interactions of simpler components
Yeah.
without needing this kind of like
Right.
mystical consciousness.
Okay. So we're not trying to like replicate human consciousness.
Not exactly.
But we might be able to build AI that acts intelligently in a similar way.
Right.
I'm starting to see where this whole algorithmic Tao thing comes in.
Yeah.
But enough with the theory, right? This book doesn't just stay in the clouds, does it?
No, not at all.
It gets into some practical examples of how this algorithmic Tao could actually work.
It does. In fact, there's some chapter titles that immediately caught my eye.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, there's one called Emptiness in the Void, Significance of Ignoring in AI Development.
Ooh, that sounds deep. What's that all about?
It dives into how sometimes
Yeah.
focusing on what to exclude from an AI system
Hmm.
can be just as important as what you include.
Hmm.
It's about simplifying, reducing noise,
Yeah.
and letting the essential elements shine through, which really connects back to that Taoist idea of emptiness
Right.
as a source of potential and creativity.
Interesting. It's like decluttering your code,
Mhm.
but on a philosophical level.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, what else grabbed your attention?
Another one is called The Value of Non-Action, Taoist Principles for Autonomous Systems.
So, how to build robots that can chill out.
Huh. Well,
Well,
yeah.
it's just kidding.
But tell me more. It really builds on that whole idea of Wu Wei
Yeah.
that we were talking about earlier,
Right.
applying it to autonomous systems specifically.
Okay.
And it explores how giving AI some degree of freedom to adapt and learn on its own
Okay.
could actually lead to more resilient and effective solutions.
Interesting.
So instead of programming every possible response,
Yeah.
we kind of provide the AI with the tools to navigate that complexity
Right.
and find its own solutions.
Okay. I can see how that could be really helpful. In a world that's constantly changing,
Absolutely.
throwing curveballs our way.
All the time.
Give me one more chapter title that got you thinking.
Okay, this one's a bit of a mouthful. Harmony of conflicting goals, resolving trade-offs in AGI design.
Ooh. Yeah, that one sounds like a real head scratcher,
It is.
especially when you're dealing with something as complex as AGI.
Yeah, and it tackles these inevitable conflicts that come up when you're
Yeah.
building something this complex.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have efficiency versus safety,
Right.
autonomy versus control.
All right. Right.
The list goes on.
Yeah. Tough choices.
And the chapter draws on these Taoist principles
Okay.
to try and find that sweet spot, that balance point where these seemingly opposing forces can actually coexist
Right.
and even enhance each other.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah.
Balance, harmony,
Yeah.
letting go of that rigid control.
It's like the Tao Te Ching is a design manual for
Right.
building ethical and intelligent AI.
Exactly. But are any researchers actually putting these Taoist principles into practice?
Well, it's still pretty early days.
Yeah.
And AI research is a vast and diverse field,
Mm-hmm.
but there's definitely a growing interest
Yeah.
in approaches that emphasize adaptability, resilience,
Okay.
and even what some are calling artificial intuition.
Ooh, artificial intuition.
Yeah,
That sounds kind of cool and kind of spooky at the same time.
it is, a little bit.
What does that even mean?
Well, it's about building AI that can make
Yeah.
judgments and decisions that aren't just based on logic and data,
Mm-hmm.
but also incorporate something akin to human intuition.
So AI that can go with its gut.
In a way, yeah.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that human intelligence isn't just about crunching numbers.
Yeah.
It's also about pattern recognition, emotional intelligence, even creativity.
Right.
And some researchers think that if we want to build truly intelligent AI,
Yeah.
we have to find ways to incorporate these aspects too.
So maybe this algorithmic Tao thing isn't just some philosophical thought experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's actually pointing the way
Yeah.
toward the future of AI.
I think it's a possibility worth exploring.
Totally.
And it highlights how important it is to have collaboration in AI development.
Interdisciplinary collaboration.
We need philosophers, ethicists,
Yeah.
even artists
Right.
working alongside the computer scientists and the engineers.
Totally agree. It's not just about building smarter machines.
Exactly.
It's about building machines that are smarter in the right ways.
Yeah.
Ways that benefit humanity
Absolutely.
and align with our values.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
That's where this whole algorithmic Tao idea offers such a valuable perspective.
It does.
It makes us step back and think about the bigger picture, Consider the implications of this tech we're creating.
For society, for the future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From the nuts and bolts of AGI to the philosophical underpinnings of Taoism.
Right.
And I feel like we're just getting started. So in part 2, we're going to dive even deeper into some of the specific scenarios the book lays out
Okay.
for the future of AGI.
Looking forward to it.
Buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride.
I'm ready.
Welcome back, everybody. So last time we were really getting our heads around this whole AGI thing and how this book, The Algorithmic Tao, kind of suggests that this ancient Taoist philosophy might actually hold some of the keys to building intelligent machines that are actually good for humanity.
Right. Beneficial.
But let's be real. Whenever we talk about AI, that whole future of humanity question,
Of course.
it always looms large, right?
It does. It's like the elephant in the room.
Yeah. And the book definitely doesn't shy away from it.
Okay, good.
It explores all those big what-if scenarios, both the utopian and the dystopian possibilities, and everything in between. So walk us through some of those.
Sure.
What does the book see as the best-case scenario for AGI and humanity?
Well, one scenario that it explores is something it calls harmonious integration.
Harmonious integration. Okay, I like the sound of that already. Tell me more.
So in this scenario, AGI is developed and deployed in a way that aligns with human values
Okay.
and actually enhances our lives
Right.
without replacing us.
So they're our partners.
Exactly. Collaborators, not competitors.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so give me an example.
Sure. Think of it like AI doctors,
Okay.
working alongside human doctors,
Yeah.
helping them diagnose diseases more accurately.
Or like AI tutors that can personalize education for every student,
Right.
which would then free up human teachers to focus on, mentoring and those more
Yeah.
uniquely human aspects of learning.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It's about using AGI to amplify human potential,
Right.
not diminish it.
I like that. I'm definitely on board with that vision.
Good.
But I gotta ask, what about the not so rosy scenarios?
Sure.
What about that whole robots taking our jobs fear?
Yeah.
The book doesn't just like sweep that under the rug, does it?
No, it definitely doesn't. It acknowledges that AGI could lead to widespread automation,
Yeah.
which could potentially impact the workforce in a lot of different industries.
Yeah.
But it stresses that this scenario isn't inevitable.
Okay.
It argues that we actually have the power to shape how AGI impacts the workforce.
So it's not like a foregone conclusion that
Oh.
robots are going to come for our jobs.
Not necessarily, no.
There's still some room for like
Yeah.
human agency in all this.
Absolutely. The book talks about focusing on developing AGI that complements human skills
Okay.
rather than just completely replacing them.
Okay, so more like AI augmenting human capabilities
Right.
rather than making humans obsolete.
Exactly, yeah. And it also stresses how important it is to invest in education and training programs
Yeah.
to help people adapt to a changing job market.
Right. It's recognizing that we need to evolve along with the tech, not
Exactly.
be left behind by it.
Right.
You've painted a really compelling picture here, but I'm curious about the author himself. Like, did Schwoebel come to this whole idea through his work in tech, or was there like
That's good, Quate.
some personal journey
Yeah.
that led him to combine these two seemingly disparate things, like Taoism and AI?
Yeah, it is interesting. His background is pretty fascinating, actually.
Okay, tell me more.
He's a tech entrepreneur, but he also has a background in philosophy.
Okay.
So he's not just a techie.
Right.
He's a thinker.
Yeah.
And I think that really comes across in the book.
That makes sense.
Like, it explains why it's so thought-provoking.
Mm,
It's not just a technical manual.
right.
It's a philosophical exploration.
He's clearly somebody who sees that big picture. Yeah.
Not just the lines of code,
Right.
but the book goes beyond just jobs in the economy, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, it dives into some pretty mind-bending scenarios
It does.
about the future of consciousness itself.
Yeah, it does. One scenario it explores is the possibility of AGI actually merging with human consciousness.
Whoa, hold on.
Huh?
Are we talking about, like, mind melding with robots now?
It's definitely pushing the boundaries of
Yeah.
what we currently understand.
It sounds like a sci-fi movie plot.
It does a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
But the book explores this idea from both a technological and a philosophical perspective,
Okay.
considering both the potential benefits and the risks of such a profound integration.
Okay, I'm going to need a little bit more to, like,
Wow.
wrap my head around this one.
Okay.
What kind of benefits are we talking about here?
Well, imagine combining the processing power and the problem-solving abilities of AGI
Okay.
with human creativity, empathy, intuition.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a powerful combo. That's a powerful combination.
We could solve, like, all the world's problems, right?
Yeah, potentially. I mean,
Right.
climate change, poverty,
Yeah.
who knows?
But honestly, the idea of, like,
I know.
merging consciousness with machines, it's a little freaky, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is a little freaky.
What about the risks?
Well, the book definitely doesn't shy away from the risks either.
Okay.
It raises those questions about, like,
Yeah.
what happens to our sense of identity
Right.
if our minds are merged with machines?
Yeah. Do we become something else entirely?
Exactly.
And then who controls that new entity?
Right, those are big questions.
Those are some seriously profound questions.
Yeah, they are.
It's like we're venturing into uncharted territory here.
We are, and that's why it's so crucial to be having these conversations now,
Right.
while AGI is still in its early stages.
Yeah.
We need to be thinking about these things
Right.
critically before we reach a point of no return.
Yeah, this is where the algorithmic Tao comes in, right?
I think so.
It's about finding that balance, navigating those dilemmas, making sure that the AGI serves humanity,
Right.
not the other way around.
Exactly.
Okay, before we move on, I have a personal question for you.
Yeah.
What are you most hopeful about when it comes to the future of AGI? And what keeps you up at night?
Well, what excites me the most is the potential for AGI to really help us solve some of humanity's biggest challenges.
Yeah.
Like, imagine a world where diseases are eradicated, Poverty's eliminated.
Right.
Climate change is reversed.
Yeah.
AGI could be the key to unlocking those solutions.
That's a beautiful vision.
It is.
But what about the flip side? What are some of the potential downsides that worry you?
What concerns me the most is the potential for AGI to be misused.
Okay.
Whether intentionally or unintentionally,
Yeah.
we need to be incredibly careful about how we develop and deploy this technology.
Right. Ensuring it aligns with our values.
Absolutely.
And doesn't make those inequalities that already exist even worse. Yeah. That's a sobering thought for sure.
It is.
It's a good reminder that technology is a tool.
Hmm?
And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Right.
It all comes down to the choices that we make.
And those choices aren't just in the hands of scientists and engineers.
Oh, that's a good point.
They're in the hands of everyone.
I love that. This isn't just a conversation for the tech elite. This is a conversation for all of us.
It is. The future of AGI is something we're all shaping together.
Okay, listeners, I know we've thrown a lot of information at you.
We have.
We've talked about the potential benefits and risks of AGI.
Right.
Some seriously mind-blowing scenarios for the future.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up,
Yeah.
remember those intriguing chapter titles we mentioned earlier?
I do.
The ones that hinted at how these Taoist concepts could actually be applied to the development of AGI?
You mean like emptiness and the void, the value of non-action, and the harmony of conflicting goals?
Those are the ones. Well, in part 3, we're going to unpack those chapters
Okay.
and explore how those seemingly abstract Taoist ideas
Right.
might actually offer some concrete guidance for building ethical and intelligent machines.
Sounds good.
So stay tuned. All right, welcome back to the deep dive, everybody. So we've been exploring some pretty heady stuff,
Yeah, we have.
talking about AGI and Taoism and what the future might hold
Okay.
for both humanity and these intelligent machines that we might create.
Right.
But before we wrap up our deep dive into the algorithmic Tao, we promised to take a closer look at some of those intriguing chapter titles
Yes.
that hint at how these Taoist principles
Right.
could actually shape how we develop AGI.
Yes. We left off talking about those chapters that really caught my eye,
Okay.
like emptiness and the void. Significance of ignoring in AI development.
That's the one. It's such a counterintuitive idea. Like ignoring in the context of AI,
Right.
you'd think it's all about like feeding the machine more data, more data, more data.
Right. More is better.
But this chapter seems to be saying like, not so fast.
It does. It challenges that assumption that more is always better.
Okay.
That Taoist concept of emptiness.
Yeah.
It's not about nothingness.
Right.
It's about recognizing that potential and creativity can actually arise from simplicity
Okay.
and space.
So how does that apply to AI?
Well, in the context of AI, it suggests that sometimes focusing on what to exclude from a system can be just as important as what you include.
So it's like decluttering your code,
Yeah,
but on like a philosophical level.
exactly. Give me an example.
Okay, yeah, give me an example.
Think about training an AI model.
Okay.
Typically, you feed it massive amounts of data,
Right, right.
but not all data is created equal.
Yeah, that's true.
Some data points might be irrelevant or noisy or even biased,
Yeah.
which can actually end up skewing the AI's learning.
It's garbage in, garbage out, right.
Exactly. And so the chapter argues that learning to identify and ignore those less valuable data points
Okay.
can actually lead to a more efficient and more accurate model.
So it's not just about blindly feeding the AI everything you can.
Right.
It's about being more selective.
Yeah, discerning.
Like a sculptor chipping away at the excess stone to reveal the form within.
Exactly. Finding the essence.
Yeah.
The signal within the noise.
And this idea applies not just to the data itself,
All right.
but to the AI system.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Simplifying the algorithms, reducing unnecessary complexity.
Okay.
Even ignoring certain features that might seem cool,
Right.
but don't actually contribute to the AI's core functionality.
It's like that design principle, less is more.
Exactly.
Sometimes stripping away the excess actually makes something stronger and more elegant.
It does. And in the case of AI,
Yeah.
it can also make the system more transparent and understandable,
Okay.
which is really crucial if we want to build trust
Right.
and ensure that these powerful technologies are being used ethically.
Right. Right. Okay, I'm starting to see how this emptiness concept could have
Yeah,
real practical implications for AI development.
absolutely.
But what about that other chapter title that
Yeah.
really got me thinking? The value of non-action.
Right,
It just seems almost paradoxical
Yeah.
when you're talking about building intelligent machines,
right.
which are supposed to be about doing things.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how do we wrap our heads around that?
Well, remember that Taoist concept of wu wei?
Right.
It's not about being passive or lazy.
Okay.
It's about aligning your actions with the natural flow of things,
Well,
finding that effortless effectiveness.
yeah, I see.
And so in the context of AI,
Yeah.
it suggests that we should be building systems that can adapt and evolve on their own
Hmm.
without constant human intervention.
So instead of trying to program the AI
Yeah.
with every specific rule and response,
Right, for every imaginable scenario.
you're giving it the tools to learn
Yeah,
and figure things out on its own.
exactly. Think about how humans learn.
Mm.
We're not born with this pre-programmed set of instructions
Right.
for life.
We learn as we go.
We learn through trial and error, experimentation, observation,
Right.
and the book suggests that AI can learn in a similar way,
Okay.
using techniques like reinforcement learning.
Ah, reinforcement learning, our dog training analogy.
Exactly, it comes back.
Makes a comeback.
So instead of giving the AI specific commands,
Yeah.
you set up a system of rewards and penalties.
Right.
And the AI learns by exploring its environment
Okay.
and figuring out which actions lead to the best outcomes.
And this could be really valuable for building AI that can operate
Yes.
in those complex and dynamic environments.
Yeah, the real world.
Like the real world.
Exactly.
Because the real world is messy.
It is.
You can't anticipate every possible scenario
Right.
or program a response for every eventuality.
Right, and that's where really rigid, rule-based AI might struggle.
Yeah.
But an AI that's designed to adapt and learn, it could actually thrive, just like humans have.
This is making me rethink how we approach AI development.
Good.
It's not just about building machines that follow our instructions.
Yeah.
It's about building machines that can learn and grow,
Right, like we do.
just like we do. Okay, that brings us to the last chapter title,
Yes.
Harmony of Conflicting Goals.
Right, we touched on this earlier.
We did.
Those inevitable design dilemmas.
Right.
Where you have to balance all these competing demands.
Efficiency versus safety, autonomy versus control.
Exactly.
It's enough to make your head spin.
It is a complex challenge. But again, the chapter argues that Taoist principles can offer some guidance.
Okay.
The concept of yin and yang, for example.
Yeah.
It reminds us that these seemingly opposite forces,
Right.
they're interconnected and interdependent.
So instead of seeing them as like either choices,
Right.
you try to find a way for them to coexist to complement each other.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot, that balance point,
Right.
where the tension between those opposing forces actually creates strength and resilience.
Give me an example.
Okay, think about AI safety.
Okay.
There's often tension between giving the AI enough autonomy to learn and explore,
Right.
but also ensuring it doesn't do anything harmful.
Right. So you want it to be smart and capable, but you also want to make sure it doesn't,
Yeah.
go rogue.
Right, exactly.
Like letting your kid ride their bike for the first time without training wheels.
Perfect analogy.
You want them to have the freedom,
Right.
but you also don't want them to crash into a tree.
Exactly.
So how do you find that balance?
Well, the chapter suggests that maybe the answer isn't choosing one or the other,
Okay.
complete control or complete freedom,
Yeah.
but finding that dynamic balance
Right.
between the two.
So maybe you start with more restrictions and gradually loosen them.
Yeah, as the AI demonstrates its ability to learn safely and responsibly.
Okay, so it's a process of coevolution
Yeah.
where both the AI and the humans are learning and adapting together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not just about building a better machine.
Yeah.
It's about building a better relationship between humans and machines.
Yeah, this deep dive has given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
It's fascinating how ancient philosophy can offer these insights
Yeah.
into something as cutting edge as AI. If we can build AI
Right.
that embodies these Taoist principles,
Mm-hmm.
balance, harmony, adaptability, non-action,
Right.
what kind of future could we create?
What do you think?
A future where technology enhances our humanity
Yeah,
rather than diminishes it,
I like that.
where we navigate the complexities of the 21st century with wisdom, resilience,
Mhm.
and a deep understanding of our interconnectedness with the world around us.
It's a future worth striving for.
It is.
Yeah.
And it starts with having these conversations,
I was
asking the tough questions,
Yeah.
being willing to challenge our assumptions
Right.
about what AI can be and the role it's going to play in shaping the world.
Couldn't agree more.
So to everyone listening out there, whether you're an AI expert or just someone who's curious about the future,
Yeah.
keep asking those questions, keep exploring those ideas,
Yeah.
keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And maybe, just maybe,
Yeah,
we can build a future that's worthy of the wisdom of the ancients
right.
and the boundless potential of human ingenuity.
I like that. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.